So, the LGBTQ community in the Philippines by me. So, the LGBTQ community in the Philippines underwent various struggles. They have been discriminated against, tortured, and hurt, but it wasn't until recent years where unity within the people began. So, in this presentation, I will discuss the history and factors that led for the strict and corrupt Philippine government to push for laws and bills to be passed specifically for the LGBTQ community, how religion was a factor for LGBTQ community, and how music helped those struggling to come out and be comfortable with freedom of their own expression. So first, the history of LGBTQ in the Philippines. So, former president and dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who served from 1965 to 1986, diminished various civil rights once martial law was declared. And for the Philippines as president, he diminished various civil liberties and rights for the citizens and had complete control over the government, where he arrested multiple leaders and high ranked military officers who were in opposition with him. He was a homophobic man who curtailed rights for the queer community, and for this, the queer community led a difficult life in the Philippines and lived most of their lives out of fear. With this hostile climate, not only the queer community was living in, it led for a wave of many Filipino and Filipinas to immigrate to the United States in the 1970s and 1980s. Many activists for equal rights, women's rights, and basic human rights led for a group known as the KDP, or the Katipunan ng mga Demokratikong Pilipino, the Union of the Democratic Filipino, in America to hold public demonstration. This group, known as KDP, was a group that was open to all genders and allowed various opportunities, for instance, leadership opportunities, to be offered to everyone, and allowed for men and women to fully discover their true self and express their emerging identities. This group was also formed on the basis that people were denied of their basic freedoms and led for many people to be killed, tortured, incarcerated, and also led for many activists to be missing until this day. So, as hostility towards the LGBTQ community continues to grow today, there are many citizens, including students who identify as a part of the queer community, who experience a lot of discrimination, bullying, and physical and sexual assault. And this led for a law to be implemented to fight against discrimination in the whole country. It steered many cities in the Philippines, including Quezon City, Davao City, Baguio City Council, and Cebu City Council, to pass anti-discrimination ordinances that prohibited discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, age, ethnicity, and religion. But this ordinance did not stop many people from mistreating the queer community, as it still led to high numbers of bullying towards the bakla, or gay. So, number two, the effects of religion. So, religion was a huge factor in discrimination towards the LGBTQ community. The Philippines is also recalled as a religious country with Roman Catholicism as the dominant religion. And although some cultural and social attitudes call for slight acceptance within younger generations, there are raised questions with acceptance of the LGBTQ community, with those conforming to tradition and stereotypical niches. The Philippines is also a prime example of how it is still continuing to learn how to find harmony and reconcile with the difficult relationship between sexual orientation and gender identification. They also face many pushbacks from conservatives who support the idea of only two genders exist and opposite genders can marry one another. In Filipino families, they are very judgmental, strict, and on some occasions closed minded, and I have firsthand experience with that. In some cities in the Philippines, it becomes more harder and difficult to the day to be Catholic and identify as queer at the same time, but it is possible to do it. Catholicism and the Church in the Philippines are also factors on the setbacks of anti-discrimination laws, and many mayors and senators blame the Catholic Church, actually, and other religious groups for blocking anti-discrimination laws because they believe that everyone should have equal rights despite gender identification and sexual orientation of a person. Some actions that many people can take are bringing an increase of support for LGBTQ-friendly churches, more materials on queer theology, and within families, they can develop awareness and become more accepting towards family members who do identify themselves in the queer community. Because religion has also led to many fatal consequences towards the community, and it led to almost 7,000 people dead. So, the support of music. So, music in the Philippines has always been more than just entertainment. It is a way to communicate one's emotions, explain stories, and express their feelings. While in the Philippines, music has always had a strong presence in the musical realm. It depicted an influential role in the community, and there are several genres of Filipino music, and it ranges from Spanish colonial music to Spanish Cuban influence to OPM, also known as original Pinoy music, where songs have a contemporary Western influence that resemble to many American pop songs with various ranges of topic and melodic rhythms. Music has made a very huge impact in the fight for equal rights and anti-discrimination ordinances to be passed for the queer community. For instance, there is one particular song known as Hey Jay by a famous band known as Eraserheads, which was written as a reference to the Beatles' Hey Jude, but Hey Jay alludes to a young boy being bullied by his fellow peers for being bakla, or in English, gay, and the singer tries to stand up for his friend for being discriminated against for his sexuality, and he also claims in the song that it is originally about feeling ostracized for being gay and being a part of the LGBTQ community. This song is identified with many people who are scared to freely express themselves, and when the singer says, "Bakit ba sila ganyan? Puno ng galit ang isipan? Ba't pa tayo ganito? Walang galang sa kapwa tao, tao, tao." And in English, this means, why are they, or people, like this, and they are filled with so much anger? Why are we like this? No respect for other people, people, people. This verse shows that the singer is asking rhetorical questions about why the people in society in the Philippines have discriminative thinking and why it's so hard for them, especially various families, to accept that everyone is the same no matter what gender, race, and age they are. This helps gain courage for many people to express themselves freely amid disputes in the government on poor anti-discrimination laws. Another significant song is Pare Mahal Mo Daw Ako, which translates to Bro, You Said You Love Me by Michael Pangalingan. And it's about a straight guy learning his gay best friend is in love with him. And this song honestly gives authenticity because if someone who was in the same situation, they would have the same response of Pare, kaibigan lang kita, which translates to you are only a friend to me, he or she would give. This song basically opens the possibility of acceptance and shows how freely expressing who you are to people will show that it is okay and everyone will be willing to accept that you are just the same person they knew from a long time ago and you are as equal as them. So this shows how it's a message that visualizes sincerity, tenderness towards the topic, and brings a light to the whole country that no matter how and what a person identifies themselves as, they're still one country, one people, united as one. So in my presentation, I talked about how the history of the Philippines has pushed LGBTQ communities and how the government has pushed for laws and bills to be passed. I also talked about how religion was a very prominent factor in the LGBTQ community and how they are struggling to come out to their families and to people. And I also talked about how music helped those struggling to come out, be comfortable with freedom of their own expression. All in all, the Filipino community has continued to strive for better for the people, especially people in the queer community, and they have implemented stricter laws that allow the queer community to feel safe in their own environment.